this year I've been getting very fascinated by Gwyn ap Nudd. So some of you know I've been working with the story of Culhwch and Olwen. As the last recipient of the Gwobresish Prize, I developed a storytelling show based around Culhwch and Olwen, one of the great myths of Wales. And one of the characters in that is Gwyn ap Nudd. Ac mae o Brenin y Tolwyth Teg neu Brenin y Byd Arall. He's maybe the king of the fairies or the king of the other world. He's also a knight in King Arthur's court. And he's this mysterious figure who, there's not too many explicit stories about him, but there's lots of hints. Like he's associated, as I say, with the other world. He's associated with the mist. He's associated with kidnapping maidens. Now, I couldn't quite find a story about him to tell you. But as I was doing the research on him, I was reminded of a story that's actually written down in Joseph Jacobs' English folk tales, which he took from a Scottish story that was also kind of made into a Scottish ballad as well. And there's something about this story that reminds me of Gwyn ap Nudd. So it begins with a bunch of children and they are playing with a ball. Well, I say a ball, but this is before football, so it's actually a blown up pig's bladder. There are 3 boys and 1 girl, and they are all siblings, and they're just having fun kicking the ball around. And then the youngest one, Rolande, he kicks the ball really hard, and this pig's bladder flies up and out in the air and over the church that they are next to. And then the one girl, Ellen, the sister, well, she runs off around the church to go and fetch it and get it back. And the boys sit there just catching their breath, waiting for her to come back with the pig's bladder. But then she doesn't come back. And so they walk around the church to have a look for Ellen, and they can't see her. And so they look in the church and she's not there. And they look all around the village and all around the area, but she's gone. She's missing. She's lost. And so when they go back home, well, the mother is distraught, and they spend the next few days searching and searching and searching, but Ellen is nowhere to be found. Now it is just the 3 boys, Rolande and his 2 eldest brothers, at home with the mother. And it's a difficult atmosphere. So after a while, the eldest brother says, "Mother, I will go out and journey further to seek our sister. I will find her and bring her back safe to us." And so he goes off. But days passed and weeks passed and months passed, and the eldest brother does not return. And so the second brother says, "I will go and find our missing siblings, my sister Ellen and our oldest brother. I will go out into the world." And the brother's like, "Oh, I don't know. I will go. He goes out. He goes out, same thing happens. He never comes back. So all that's left home with the mother is the youngest child, Rolande. And when Rolande turns to his mother and says, "It's pretty quiet here, I'm missing my siblings, I'm going to go and get them back," she says, "No, you may not go. I will not give you permission. I've lost the 3 others. You must stay here and keep me company. You must stay safe." But Rolande, though he is young, he is determined, and he argues and argues with his mother. And she says, "Well, I'm not saying yes and I'm not saying no, but go and talk to that old man who lives at the edge of the village. See if he has any advice for you." And so Rolande goes and talks to the old man, who is a mysterious sort. And the old man sits quiet and looks into a bowl of water. "Ah, your sister has been taken by the king of the Tolwyth Teg, the king of the fairies. He has your 2 brothers as well." "Great," says Rolande. "Where can I find him?" It's a long road to fairyland, a difficult road. I will point you in the way, and I will give you 2 pieces of advice," says the old man. "One thing that you must do, and one thing that you must not do." "What are they?" says Rolande. "Well," says the old man, "the thing that you must do, as soon as you enter the land of the fairies, the land of the Tolwyth Teg, when you are in that place, anyone that speaks to you, you must cut off their head. Okay, says Roland, that sounds simple enough. What is the thing that I must do? What is the thing that I must not do? Well, says the old man, the thing that you must not do, no matter how hungry you are, no matter how thirsty you are, when you are in the land of the Tolwyth Teg, you must not eat or drink a thing. Otherwise you will not be able to leave. Okay, says Roland, I will remember those 2 things. Thank you, old man. Leaves, goes back home to his mother, more determined than ever to go and seek his siblings. Well, if you must go, says the mother, take your father's sword. Your late father's sword that hangs above the mantelpiece. Your late father's sword that always strikes true. And so Roland straps this big metal sword to his waist, and he sets off in the direction that the old man had pointed. And he walks and he walks and he walks, and eventually things start to look a little bit different. The sky is a sort of pink colour, and the trees are lit up as if there were fairy lights in them, but nobody had invented fairy lights there yet. And then up ahead he sees a herd of horses, but they're big horses, they're big dapple grey horses with a hint of fire in their eyes. And he goes up to the boy who's looking after the horses and says, is this the land of the fairies? Where may I find the king of the fairies? And the horse hand says, oh, well, this is fairyland, I can tell you that, but I don't quite know where the king lives. I think you should go further on and talk to the lad who looks after the cows. Maybe he knows. Oh, thank you, says Roland, and he makes to go. But there's a thing he must remember to do, right? What is the thing that Roland must do? He must cut off the head of anyone that speaks to him. And so he turns back to this poor lad, draws his sword and cuts off his head in one swipe. The rules are not the same in fairyland, you know. And then he walks on and he comes to a herd of cows. All white-skinned cows with red ears. There is a boy looking after them. Tell me, I must find the king of the fairies. Where may I find him? And the cowherd says, well, I don't know, but I bet the old lady knows, the hen rag with the hens up the way. Go ask her. Oh, thank you, says Roland. He knows what he's to do. He cuts off the head of the cowherd, walks onwards and onwards, and sure enough, after a while, he comes to an old lady, and she is surrounded by hens all around her, clucking and pecking and flapping. Can you help me, please, said Roland. I am looking for the king of the Tolwyth Teg. Where may I find him? Ah, says the old lady, I can tell you where to find him. You must go just a little further along this way, and you will find a green hill. You won't see a way in, but if you walk around it 3 times against the sun, 3 times anti-clockwise, 3 times widdershins, you will see a door. Go through that door and you will be in his place. Thank you so much, old lady. You've been so helpful, said Roland, and makes to go. But then he remembers, turns back and cuts off her head. He walks on and finds a green hill. It's one of those kind of really round hills. I don't know if you've ever seen Glastonbury Tor. It's a bit like that, quite big, really round, really green. And there are terraces cut into it. Well, he walks 3 times around this thing, 3 times widdershins. And the 3rd time he's going round, well, he spots a door that wasn't there before. A door cut into the hill itself, but a door made of oak with strong iron bars on it, a round door. He opens it, it's not locked. And he finds himself inside a low, dark corridor. There's a faint light there, though. And he makes his way this way and that way along the corridor until all of a sudden it opens out. And inside this hill, it's as big as a cathedral and it's filled with people. Well, are they people? No. They're Tolwyth Teg. They're a little bit different to us, he can tell. And so he stays quiet and still by the door, watching. There are many of them. They are drinking, they are feasting, they are dancing, they are laughing. And this space, it's huge. It's like a cathedral, tall. And the walls, it's like there's some kind of rock that glows in them, and a big light that hangs from the ceiling too. And as he looks around, he spots on the other side of the room, sat on a rather fancy chaise longue, is his sister Ellen. She looks a little bit older now, and she's wearing this fancy dress. And so quietly he walks around the crowd until he gets to the sofa and sits down, and she recognises him, and she gives him a hug, and he gives her a hug, and he says, "How are you?" But she doesn't say anything. And she doesn't seem to be able to talk, even though it's definitely her, it's definitely his sister. But he sits there and he's glad because, he's nearly accomplished his mission, right? He's found the sister, and he relaxes a bit on the sofa. And he realises he feels a bit hungry and thirsty. It's been a long journey to get there. And she's got this plate of snacks in her lap. And he says, "Ellen, do you think I could have one of those little sandwiches?" And she passes the plate to him, and all of a sudden she's got a slightly strange look in her eye as she passes the plate. And he's about to put a sausage roll in his mouth. But what does he need to remember? In the land of the Tolwyth Teg, you must not eat or drink anything. And just before he puts it in his mouth, he remembers, and he throws that plate to the floor, and it breaks with a big crack. Everybody in the room turns around to look at him, and out of the crowd strides a tall man with a pepper salt beard, a tall man wearing a cloak, a tall man who is, of course, the Brenin y Tolwyth Teg. And Rolande stands up, draws his sword and says, "Give me back my sister." And the king, he draws his sword, and pretty soon the two of them are hacking at each other with their swords. And, well, you'd have thought the king of the Tolwyth Teg would be a skilled fighter, but Rolande is young, he's enthusiastic, and he has the blade of his father that always strikes true. And so somehow he manages to wound the king of the Tolwyth Teg a little, and then soon enough he's got his sword at the throat of the king. And the king says, "Stop! Stop, I will give you anything you want if you do not cut off my head." "Well," says Rolande, "I would like my sister back. I would like my brothers back, and I would like us to all go home safely, please." "It shall be," says the king of the Tolwyth Teg, and from out of his cloak he draws a small bottle of potion. He takes one drop of it, he puts one drop of it on Ellen's lips, and she can speak again. And then he waves to some of his courtiers, and they bring the two bodies of the two oldest brothers. They lay them on the ground where they lie, pale and still. But the king goes to the first brother, and he puts one drop of potion on each of his eyes, each of his ears, on his mouth, on each of his fingertips. And then the first brother, the eldest brother, sits up, and he's suddenly awake and surprised and shocked to be there. And so it is with the second. And once they are all up and standing, Rolande thanks the king of the Tolwyth Teg, and they leave out of that strange domed space, out down that low winding corridor, out of the door, back through the lands of the fairies, which are strangely populated with a lot of cows and horses and hens looking a little bit lost. Well, they make their way back home safe. So perhaps this is the end of this story. I will tell you this though. None of them ever ran anti-clockwise around a church ever again. For it is said that that would take you back to the land of the Tolwyth Teg. Perhaps none of them ran anti-clockwise around a church ever again, unless it was that they wanted to visit again.